fiber friends, welcome one and all to Cabin Fever Crochet with me, Helene. Today's tutorial is my collared crochet cowl or neck warmer. It's versatile, how you can wear it. It's very warm, thick and cushy. You can use a variety of yarns and wear it a couple of different ways and choose which side you like best because both sides give a really nice textured effect. So I'm going to go over a couple of yarn suggestions, supplies, and then we're going to get right into it. Okay, so you can wear this with the collar just popped up a little bit in the back and gently curled at the top as I'm showing you here. Oh, and this is the buttons that are on here. These are decorative. They're fixed. They are not functional. It's open on the inside, so you can turn that down even more if you want for a little extra air. And then you don't have to fiddle with attaching, buttoning and unbuttoning every time. You just pop it right over your head. So you can wear it with the collar popped up a little bit. You can fold it all together. And what I decided to be my inside, there's a nice ridge on each stitch section, so you can choose where you want to fold it down and it gives a nice edge for that fold. So you can have it with the collar all the way down or all the way up if it's very blustery and cold out and you need that extra warmth. So if you didn't see the video on my show and tell, the link below for that if you'd like to check it out, where I first made this with just this border in a KnitCrate Vitalana and Alpaca, 100% Alpaca yarn that I've had for a couple of years, and this is what was left over from that. And I really liked this, and I did a slip stitch all the way around, but I wasn't entirely 100% in love with it, and I just knew that there was something else I wanted to do. So when I was in Hobby Lobby recently, I looked at their Yarn Bee, their authentic yarn, which is a new yarn they got in. It's a hand-dyed 100% superwash merino. Hopefully this is showing up. This color is called Prom Corsage. It's a number 5 chunky. I wound it into a cake. When I saw this hanging on the shelf, I went, oh my, I think this is just going to be perfect. Exactly what I'm looking for. Tie everything in together is I used one end from the outside and then my center pull. I put 2 strands together to equal the thickness of this number 6 super bulky, which is my October 2020 KnitCrate yarn. It's just one long rectangle that we fold and then sew these 2 ends going off through the thicknesses together. Now here is what the back looks like. Alright, so as far as yarns go, I do recommend really either number 5 bulky or 6 super bulky. However, you can go with 1 strand of yarn in the number 5. I've done that before. There are so many different options for that. You can use a straight up number 6, which is what I'm going to be using today. This is Joann's in-house brand, their Buttercream Luxe Craft. I'm using actually the recommended hook, which is a USN. It's a 9mm. So this is a 5.29 ounce, 150 grams, 115 yards, 105 meters. Now depending on your height, your weight, your stature, how much yarn you use is going to vary. So you may wind up needing to go into 2. However, this KnitCrate went a lot farther than I had expected, and Hank did it 109 yards, but it's very light, fluffy yarn. This yarn is also not spun densely, so I think that's going to go farther and not as dense as, say, Lion Brand wool ease in their the number 6 super bulky. That would be a great one, and I've made several of these types in it. And another yarn which is really good that I made last year, and it sold at a holiday show rather, is the Red Heart Hygge. You would need 2. They come in 5 ounce. I've seen them in 8. 1/8 should do it also if you, I think they're about 8 ounces. Anyway, this worked up terrific. Turned out so beautiful, and I put 2 really nice wood buttons that had dimension to them. They weren't real flat. So I got more of this. And then, so as far as supplies go, you can do 2 buttons, you can do 1 button, you can do 3 smaller buttons, whatever it is that you want to put on there. Toggles might be nice. However, I wanted something flat. So if this is on the inside of my jacket, there isn't anything that's going to have a real large like shank on the bottom of it, or that's going to poke out or press into my skin when it's against my chest. I didn't want to snag on anything either. Now, if you're in the United States, if you have a Hobby Lobby near you, they have these wonderful enameled, and I believe these are coconut shell buttons. And these are 1 3/8 inch, 34 millimeters. These are a wonderful size for this project. And then they also have a 2 inch, 51 millimeter size button as well. Okay, and you're going to need at least 1 large yarn needle to sew these thicknesses together, and then possibly another needle, whatever size buttons you're using. So you want to make sure that the eye, the largest portion, goes through the needle very easily with a little room to spare. Don't mind my little drawing. I thought this might be the easiest way to show you. Alright, as you're going down, and here is where your sternum is, in this area. Alright? And for the length that we're going to do for our starting foundation chain, when you get to the full length and then you wrap that around your body, you're going to wrap it around, bring it around your neck, okay? Here's your neck. Okay, you're going to wrap it around the back of your neck and bring it down the front. And where the 2 sides meet together, I want you to fold them over like this to resemble the shape of the front of that cowl. All right. And where you want the bottom portion to hit is when you get down to the base of your sternum. This is to resemble your rib cage right here, okay? Below your sternum, at the top of your rib cage, just down below, there's that indentation. That's where approximately you want that to hit. And that's no matter what size you are. And then you decide how high you want that to go up. And you know, it can be somewhere in this range. It doesn't have to be exact, but as we grow the height, that's going to take up a lot of the circumference that goes around your body. So if you start off too short, then it's going to come up way too high on your neck. It's going to be hard to get it on and off, and you won't have the room to grow your width to get to the height to actually cover and go up around your neck area to give you that warmth. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so now grab my yarn, grab your yarn and your hook, and now let's begin. Okay, you can make a slip knot however that you like to. All right, so you can either chain and then go back into the second chain from the hook and work a single crochet and then one single crochet all the way across. That is up to you. I'm going to work a foundation single crochet, so I have my chain and my single crochet together in one. So to begin, we're going to chain 2, and this is in any number of stitches, no multiples. Maybe do 60, try it on, kind of see where you are at that point, and then you can add or you can take away if you need to. All right, so I chain 2. Then on this first stitch, I'm going to do a foundation single crochet into the back bump only. Insert the hook, pull up a loop. All right, yarn over and go through the first loop, and you've created your first chain. Yarn over and then pull through the next 2, and that's your single crochet. And then for the second one, so here's your single crochet that comes right down from the loop on your hook, and just below is your chain. So you're going to work into both loops of your chain. It's a little awkward at first to get in there, but once you've done maybe 5 or 6, it goes much easier. All right, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through the first loop on your hook, and you've made another chain. Yarn over and pull through 2. There's your single crochet. Just remember, you go down below the single crochet into your chain. Okay, and you just repeat this over and over and over again. Go through both loops of your chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and you keep doing this until you have a number for the size that you need to fit your body as I have shown you. Alright, so I'm going to work mine, and I'll meet you back in just a little bit. Alright, I am back at the end of my long chain. I went ahead, I did 63 foundation single crochets on this one, and the first single crochet counts where you have the first full stitch, that first full chain. And there's the end of the stitch here. Okay. All right. Now we're going to chain 1, does not count as a stitch, and then you turn your work right side up. So that beginning, here's your chain, and on the top where your single crochets are on the bottom as you were working. So you're going to turn that to where now your full stitches are on top and your chain is on the bottom. So we're going to work a half double crochet through both loops of our very first stitch and the last stitch only, to give us a good full stitch side edge, nice clean look. And in every stitch across and until the very last one, we're going to work into the back loop only. Okay. And another thing you can do actually is with your yarn, if you just have a number 4 weight, don't have a number 5 bulky or super bulky, you can use 2, 3, 4 strands together. It will take a little bit longer because when you're working you do have to make sure you catch all of those strands. But I've done it and it works up nice, and I worked one in a black and in a gray, and it created a really nice marled effect. Alright, so I'm going to see you at the end, up to the very last stitch, and in that last stitch you will work a half double crochet through both loops. Okay, I'm to my last stitch. Now we work a half double crochet through both loops, And this is a 2-row repeat, which I did not mention. So this is row 1, the half double crochet in the back loop. Now we're going to chain 1 again. Does not count as a stitch. Turn your work, and then we're going to work 1 single crochet into the first stitch, okay, through both loops. All right, and then 1 single crochet across into the front loop, the loop that is closest to you. And in each front loop only across, work 1 single crochet, okay, and then when you get to the end, your very last stitch, and you will work 1 single crochet through both loops, okay? And this is what you will repeat, these 2 rows over and over. So when you get to the end, then you will chain 1 and turn. You'll work 1 half double crochet through both loops of the first and last stitch, and in the rest of the loop, stitches across, you will work a half double crochet into the back loop only, all the way across. Chain 1 and turn, then 1 single crochet through both loops of the first and the last, and all the other stitches, 1 single crochet into the front loop only. And that's what's going to give us this really nice texture. And then when your work grows a little bit, you are going to see the stitches develop. The right side is where we have the ribbed portion, and then the wrong side, which is what I chose to use, which I made the right side of my work instead, and that is where you get the wonderful, like the hills and valleys. So you can decide when you get there. Both sides look really good, and the look is going to vary depending on the type of yarn that you use. And then what we're going to do after you get to the height that you want, and leave enough space at the top, because we're going to slip stitch around, and before we do that, we're going to add a little bit of ribbing on the edge also. I'm going to work up a few more rows and come back in just a few minutes so you can see the look on this, how it develops. It shows up much better on the lighter color in this yarn versus the brown that I have, and that way that'll give you more of an idea what it's supposed to look like. One tip I have for you on your single crochet front loop row, don't accidentally think these stitches that have been pushed up where you worked your back loop row, don't think that that is your front loop stitch, because the top portion tends to roll over inward a little bit once you've worked in the back loop. Okay, so just look at your placement of the stitches and make sure, you see here is the loop that's closest to you, and there's the loop that's farthest away. Okay, so you're going to be working that single crochet row into the top of the loop here that's closest to you. All right, and then same goes for when you're working your half double crochet row into the back loop. You'll have to roll it towards you a little to get to the back. Alright, here I am back after working several rows, so you can see what it looks like and what to expect as you are working it up, however many rows that you decide to do. On the brown one, I did a total of 5 of the half double crochets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I'm counting as my repeat here, and then I end on the single crochet in the front loop row. That's where you want to end, no matter what size you are making it. And you know, you can finish just like this if you want. That's fine. You don't have to do anything extra or special to it. I do recommend, though, adding the slip stitch round, and I'll go through all that with you, but I just want to give you several different options. And what I want you to do now, where we ended, keep your work facing up on that side, turn it so your raw edge is at the top now, and we're going to evenly work double crochets across all the way to the very end. And the number is going to vary depending on the number of repeat rows that you did. The main thing is how many you have really doesn't matter. You just don't want them to be bunched up so tight, because we're going to do post stitches after that, and it needs to be a room to fit those in, so it's just not too overly bulky. And then if you have too many, it's going to cause your work to ripple. And on the other end of that, you don't want them so wide apart where it stretches your work out either. You have big gap spaces. All right, so for the first one, you may do a chain 3 if you like, if that's easiest for you, which equals your first double crochet in this end stitch. However, I prefer an alternate double crochet. Most resembles a full stitch, a good base to sew your edge together, and will prevent a big gap space between the first and the second double crochet. I'm going to show you my preferred method. If you have one that you like, by all means, go for that one. Alright, so what I do is draw up a loop to the height of a double crochet, secure that loop real well with your thumb or forefinger, whichever is most comfortable for you. Turn the hook upside down, wrap it around from front to back, and even though this yarn just wraps around the top of the hook, that is representing a loop. Alright, so now you're going to go back into this very first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first, and then now wrap around back to front. Then that middle loop you can let go now, it's secure, and then yarn over, pull through the last 2. There's the first double crochet. You can rewind that if you need to see it again. And then now work through both loops at the top. If you have a real full stitch below, that you will not have a big gap space, you can go through the space. But for example, this stitch over here, that's going to create a big gap, but however, you have a full stitch at the top and 2 loops to go through. So always go through 2 whenever possible. And because we did that chain 1 at the end of each row, or beginning of each row, then you're going to, it makes it just so much easier working across, and it gives you 2 loops to work through in most stitches. Alright, and if you aren't sure, like say here, oh, I'm not sure, is that going to be too close, too far apart, you can just go ahead and put them in, and if you find it's too many or not enough, this is such a short row, it's easy to just pull it back and redo that section. But for mine, I expect to get 13 double crochets, including the first one, all the way across, and make sure you put that in this very last stitch. And that is the same that I got out of this brown one, and it's the exact same width from the brown edge to the brown edge, not including my border with the 6.5 inches. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and work mine. And I will see you at the end. Oh, and here's a quick tip for you also to make it easy for your placement. If you have an odd number of the half double crochet rows, such as I do, then you know this will be your odd number. Say if you do 13, okay, this will be your 7th double crochet, and you will have 6 on either side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then here goes my 7th, and then I know I just have 6 more to finish across, and that will equal my 13. And that quickly lickety split, here I am at the end. This was my beginning stitch right here. Give it a little tug, and you can see that will pull up to the top. Okay, that will be my 13th, right through the top of these 2 stitches. It's a little tight, but you can just put it in there. You can start off with a smaller hook if you need to get in between the 2 stitches, and then go back to your larger regular hook that you're working with. Okay, I could keep it on there. This yarn's so smooth. All right, so now we're going to do some post stitches. All right, and again, turn your work, and you can either chain 3 or do an alternate. That's what I'm going to do here, right back into that same first stitch. And we're going to do a regular double crochet in the first and last double crochet, and then post stitches and all the rest across. So I'm going to do a front post. So insert the hook in between the 2 double crochets, not at the top, front around the back and up. Okay. And you can do back front, back front. That's what I'm going to do. So I go around back and then insert back around the top of the post and then through. Okay. And then the other one, again, excuse me, front to back and then back to front. You see, it helps because this is so thick, so that I just wind up kind of pinch the yarn together as I'm bringing it through, and making sure when I draw the loop through, it's nice and tall to the height of my double crochet, my stitches, so that it doesn't wind up getting too bunched up and squatty looking. Okay. So that's what that's going to look like. And I think is a nice contrast, edging, contrast to the rest of the work. All right, and then carry on, and I will see you at the end here. And here I am already to the very last stitch, and just work a double crochet into either your 3rd chain up if you're doing the chains, or the top of your alternate double crochet through both loops. And the nice thing about the alternating front post back post is that it will come out the same on both sides, so that way you can decide at the end which that you want to be the outside and which will be your inside of your work. And we are going to slip stitch all the way around, and that's going to add a little more width, and it will give a really nice bordering edge. And then you can decide there whether you want to use the same yarn or a contrasting yarn for that, or do 2 slip stitch edges such as I did here. And after I finish the first one, I will tell you what I did on this, which is just super easy. It's pretty much the same as the first, okay? All right, so then now here you get to decide again how many of these rows you want. So now to do another row, or however many you would like to do. And try this on around your neck. I suggest that after each row, just to be sure the fit is good. All right, so now turn your work and either chain 3 or work that alternate double crochet. Now we're going to work a back post, double crochet around the back post, front post, double crochet around the front, back, front, back, front. Here's the back post, and now the front post, back post, front, and then front post. Now you just repeat this all the way across with 1 double crochet into the top of your chain 3 or your alternate double crochet. Okay, so I will see you across and finish with you there. And then if you need to or want to do one more, then at the end you just repeat the same as we did here. You turn either chain 3 or alternate double crochet, and then on this row you'll do an alternate front post, back post, front post, back post. Just make sure the stitch you did before you're keeping it the same and consistent all the way across. Okay, here I am, my last double crochet into the top. Alright, so because I ended on this beautiful hills and valleys side, I'm going to call it. It's funny, I'm still a little undecided really where I want to go with that, but because now I want to get to the other side, then just chain 1 and turn. That's all you need to do. Okay, well, I will see you very soon for our finishing border round variations and joining our 2 sides together.